Yeah, here we go. It definitely has a different feel, right? Like, the visual vibe of the game is not Metal Gear 3. Metal Gear 3 has a very brown and yellow look to it. Somebody peed all over the image in that game. This is going for vibrant forest colors. It's going for more realism. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a filter that brings it back to the old one. Yeah, is the piss filter actually an option? That's amazing. You can give it the OG visual look. That's actually really cool. The thing is, this is a really complicated game, right? Kojima games mechanically are like weird. They're really obtuse and complicated how like AI works and how item interactions work and camouflage and all that stuff. So this is like probably a really difficult game just to remake, even though it's like 20 years old. Almost 20 years old. Kojima always makes weird ass games, dude, with like really crazy mechanics. Yeah, almost, that's what I mean, almost to a fault, where the game is getting a little bit too mechanically obsessed with itself, where it feels like it's like wanking itself off with mechanics and shit. I got that feeling in Metal Gear 4. Granted, you get that feeling in Metal Gear 4, where this just feels like bloat now, dude. I got that feeling in Death Stranding, where it's just like, okay, I get it, Kojima. Just let me fucking play the game, dude. It's not just Easter eggs. It's like, the game is just going ham-fisted with, like, mechanical depth, where it's like, okay, so maybe this is a bit too much now, dude. I love mechanical depth, but now we're just... Yeesh. You know which game is perfect? In terms of mechanical depth and how it feels? Metal Gear 5. You don't have to agree with the story and what they did with the second part of the story, bro. Metal Gear 5 is amazing. I cannot believe how good that game felt to play. I could not believe it. It just like sneaking and engaging and parachuting up bitches and stuff. I know it's not a popular opinion because Metal Gear 5 is rough. And it did change the gameplay a lot, but to me it made sneaking way more enjoyable. Just way more fun. Everything that the character did, just in my head, they did it. It felt so good to me. But I will agree with you why people don't like it, because it's very not Metal Gear-y. Don't get me wrong, for all the Metal Gear heads that are disagreeing with me in here, I know, I've played all these games. Metal Gear 4 and the games that came before it feel like those games, right? Like, Metal Gear 4 is effectively the ultimate version of Metal Gear Solid, right? Where it's like Metal Gear Solid to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. You definitely feel like these games are evolving pieces of the same sort of like mechanical depth, where it just gets better and better and better. Metal Gear 4, it kind of stops, because Metal Gear 5 is very different. The way it feels and operates and controls is just very different, you know? So, but to me, I enjoyed the change, right? I really liked how different it was. To me, it actually made it more fun. Yeah, the way you approach a situation in Metal Gear 5 is so cool, and how it all works the way it does. I just love that. And the other Metal Gear games are pretty linear. You know, it's pretty like straightforward how you do this, and there's a lot of different ways you can do it. The amount of ways you approach a situation in Metal Gear 5 is massive, right? Granted, some ways are much easier than others, like every game, but bro, I had so much. Granted, I had a ton of fun with Metal Gear 5. I stopped playing it after the first half. Stopped playing it. I didn't even beat it, dude. After that first half, it felt like a different game. I was like, what is this? What the fuck's going on here? And like they get the Shagohod or something like that, and they lift it onto, you know, the platform, and like it felt like I'm like, oh, this is the end of the game. And then it just kept going, and I'm like, what the hell? And nothing interesting was happening, and yeah, what is it, the Sahelanthropus, yeah, it's been a long time. But once that chapter started, I was just like, this sucks. And I didn't even continue playing. I was just done. I just acted like the first half of the game, that was it. That was the end of the game. And everyone was like, oh, this just sucks from this point forward. Anyway, this looks really good. Talking about Metal Gear, my Metal Gear history here. This looks really good. The remake is nothing more than taking the original and putting it in UE5. No new sounds, mechanics, story, or anything. That is lazy. Bro. I mean, that's what a lot of people want, though. You have to understand that, right? You're used to if you're what you're talking about is effectively remakes on the same level of like a Capcom remake and a Square Enix remake, where those games really do something brand new with what the old game was, right? But that's the difference of what a remake is. Do you re-envision something for you? This is a very nuanced topic. And to summarize it, you can take the Capcom approach, or you can take the Shadow of the Colossus approach, where, oh, we're just going to make the old thing pretty much super honorable to the old thing, which is the Shadow of the Colossus approach, and just make it look better and play a bit better. Or we're going to re-envision what this game can be for a modern audience and really create something new out of it, which is what Capcom does and which is what Square Enix does. This is taking, for the most part, something close to like the Shadow of the Colossus approach, where the game feels a bit different, it looks a little bit different, but it effectively is very similar to its source material. And to be honest, most fans, the hardcore fans, kind of want it to be that way. We don't want you to fuck up our game. Just make our game look better and play a little bit better. That's exactly what this is doing. Like, this is the biggest change from this in the old game is the camera, right? The fact that they give us a modern day action camera where it's like, oh yeah, you don't have to look at it from the old school top down shit, right? You don't need to do that. Most fans will like that. But at the same point, is it super inspiring? It's not. I mean, I agree with you. It's just they're keeping it mostly one-to-one, but that will make a lot of people happy. This was a very popular game with a big fandom behind it. You know what I mean? So at the same point, I see it, right? But would I want them to change Metal Gear 3 of all games? Not particularly. They already did that to Metal Gear 1. They did that to Metal Gear Solid 1, bro, and it didn't go over well with everybody. Just throwing it out there. They didn't just add a new coat of paint on top of Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. No, they like re-envisioned the way that whole game could be and reimagined it. And that was a very different thing than the original game. So Metal Gear has a history of doing this and it not particularly going well. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I like Twin Snakes. But you got to understand why they took this route with this remake, without creating an entirely new thing out of it. Like, it's mostly kind of the same shit. Yeah, Persona 3 Reload, kind of the same thing. Pretty much the same game with better visuals and make the gameplay not as shitty. Because we have more buttons on our controllers now, you know, or in general. We just know how controllers work better in people's hands. So there's no reason for you to keep it obtuse and shitty. It's just not. You should be able to pick up the controller in this game and not have it control exactly like Snake Eater did back in the day, which is going to be like, what the fuck? Wait a minute. That does that? Like, you effectively have to, if you play any older Metal Gear game, you got to Rubik's Cube that shit, dude. It's kind of like, wait a minute, I got to like, this work, and you'll get used to it. You will. But there's no reason for it to be that way anymore. So like the default control scheme of this game when it comes out should just be normal, you know? It should just operate like a normal video game, but then you have the choice of making it being Kojima obtuse, right? To go back to the older like PS2 era. Oh yeah, this is what I remember. This plays like, you know. So that's a level of modernization that I think is good, right? That's like, the control sticks should just work in the way they should, you know? For example, this game does not have this camera angle by default when you play it on the PS2. It does not look this way. Damn, that mud looks great. Holy shit. Yeah, it had a follow-up. It had like an expansion later. Was it called Subsistence in Metal Gear 3? I thought that was Metal Gear 2. They did give it a better camera at some point. But I think this camera, to be real, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't been keeping up with this, and I didn't play Subsistence, and I only played the OG Metal Gear 3 once, mind you. Beat it once. Was the Subsistence camera exactly the same as this? I don't think it was it, or is their third-person camera in this pretty much a modern-day third-person camera, right? It's kind of similar, right? But it doesn't feel exactly the same. Pretty similar, okay. I'd imagine it will feel different here, right? I'd imagine by the time you get in here, it'll feel a bit better. Literally the same kind of. Pretty much, maybe, kind of, not really. Ah. Now I'm just confused. Anyway, the more I didn't have a lot of confidence in this project, to be completely honest. The announcement of it probably got me the most, but when they started showing the game, and it was like extremely minor things for a long time, and it's like, bro, it's been a long time since we've seen this shit. And they're like, here's a picture of a crocodile, here's a picture of a tree, and I'm like, oh, this shit's gonna suck. Like, it's not gonna be good, dude. There's no way. And then eventually, it took them so long to get to a point where they actually show gameplay, and it started to look a bit better. And it was like, oh, okay, so it's not running at like 15 FPS or some shit. It actually does look pretty good, and it's functionally like there. Like, I don't see any wild jank yet. And I could expect for a game as kind of mechanically complex as this shit, for there to be a lot of wild jank everywhere. It looks pretty good. It looks kind of cool. Like, I'm kind of looking forward to playing Metal Gear 3 again for the first time since it came out. Camo switching? Like easy camo switching without going to the menu and shit? That's cool. Oh, his health bar's at the bottom. That's funny. Kind of looking forward to this, man. To be real. Looking forward to that fucking ladder. Yes, he holds his arms in to protect himself so that he doesn't get bit by shit in the wilderness. What a thrill. There is some stuff that is not, like, ideal. I think I would have loved it if David Hayter came back and provided new voice lines. He's doing promotion for it, so he's involved. But I think I would have liked it if Hayter came back and actually reprised his role as Solid Snake again the way it should be. Yeah, for everything that I heard before is that it is the same audio. It's the same voice lines as the old game, just better sounding. Like all of the voice lines, even the boss could have used a different... The boss has a great voice in this game, but I don't think I would have minded if they got like the same actress again and brought her back to like re-record. Because to be completely honest, like the way I can let this rock. The way modern voice performance would be in like a non-PS2 era Metal Gear would be a lot different. Like just the way you portray these characters would not be the same way you had the line delivery back in like 06, 07 or some shit, right? So I think I kind of would have liked it if there was new voices, like new portrayal of characters, like a modern day take on what these characters could sound like. I think I would have that would have made it feel a lot more fresh. I think the fact that you just hear the same audio coming out of the same characters, I think that makes it inherently feel less cool. And that's just me. That's not going to be the same for everybody. But to me, that makes it feel like, oh, it's just the same game, kind of, you know? But then you look at it and it's like, oh, there's a lot of shit here, actually. It throws me off, is what I'm trying to say. I think I would have loved to hear David Hayter's modern take on fucking Metal Gear 3 Snake. Why not remake MGS3? Why not start with MGS1? Dude, they did that. Metal Gear 1 already got a remake. I don't think we've gotten to a point in this industry where we are remaking remakes. We haven't gotten there yet. Not entirely. Metal Gear 1 already got remade. It was on the GameCube. It was called Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. Last of Us? I found out Last of Us technically isn't remade. Those are games were remastered several times. Horizon technically remastered several times and given graphical boosts and console boosts and stuff, where it feels like it's been remade several times, but in reality, like, technically the new Horizon is more of a remake, and it's weird. Don't get me wrong, it's weird. Poor deranged Bloodborne fans. I think RE1 I'd be cool with them remaking again. And I'd be honestly, dude, it's been so many years since RE1's been remade, since Metal Gear 1 has been remade. To agree with you, yeah, I think enough time has passed where we could remake Metal Gear 1. We can. And Twin Snakes wasn't exactly like, oh, but Twin Snakes, though. We have to respect Twin Snakes. It's like, I think we're good now. Enough time has passed, dude. So let us... I would be completely down if it was like a big budget Sony, you know, or like a Blue Point tackling a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1. I'd fucking love that shit, dude. I would fucking eat that up. I'd be super down. But I'd also be down for an RE1 remake. Let's revisit RE1 in the mansion. I'm super down for that shit, you know? In those situations, though, I think it needs to be a different game. To be real, I don't think... sorry, I'm interrupting this. I don't think you could remake Metal Gear Solid 1 like this. I don't think so. Where the game would just be like pretty much one-to-one and not a re-envisioning where it's just, oh, it's just a slightly better coat of paint with a third-person camera now. I think that'd be boring as fuck at this point of time. That would have to be like a brand new, it need to be like RE2 style, re-envision this experience, like modernize Shadow Moses Island incident. This is closer to a one-to-one with some refined mechanics and shit. They technically did it with Metal Gear 4 already. You're right, bro. It was used in story, but they already technically did it in Metal Gear 4. They already used that fucking card. So there's a really good reason why they haven't done this. Because they've effectively revisited the Shadow Moses incident twice already and remade it. Good point. That's a really good point. Good point. Yeah, technically Metal Gear Solid does that too, because they don't, story-wise, they literally emulate the Shadow Moses incident on the fucking stupid ocean platform. Isn't that like the whole point of the mission, that it's like duplicating the Shadow Moses protocol or some shit? They just can't get away from it, dude. They can't fucking get away from that shit on the big shell. Yeah. I forgot all of the story of Metal Gear 2, dude. I just remember that you fight the president on top of a bank or some shit. I did not like Metal Gear 2 very much. Even when I played it for the first time, I was like, this kind of sucks. This isn't as good as Metal Gear 1. I like Metal Gear 3 way more than Metal Gear 2. It was very much a meta game. It wasn't even the Raiden part of it. I don't even think like the Raiden twist. I don't even think the Raiden twist was the thing that like got me about that game. It was more the set piece and the music and the enemies and the bad guys and the sequence of events. That was a good demo. That was it looks like. I just didn't love Metal Gear 2 nearly as much as 1. And that's because Metal Gear 1's so fucking influential, dude. You never could. That's the problem. Metal Gear 1 is just so fucking